welcome to our special dialogue this evening on what is an issue so often left out of our mainstream discourse: India's children and the ones left behind. How do we ensure each child in India today gets a fair start? After all, every life counts. A fair start is the focus of a new UNICEF campaign launched this week by, well, a star we all know, but today in a completely new role, Priyanka Chopra. Priyanka, thanks very much for coming in and being part of this show.
Thank you.
We also have a special panel with us. We have Stuti Narain Kacker, chairperson of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Also with me, Nilüfer Furzand of UNICEF. She's a chief field officer based in Uttar Pradesh. Harsh Mandar, well-known child rights activist. In fact, inequality has been a major focus of his work. I'm also joined by Anand Kumar, founder of Super 30, a man who makes sure that at least those trying for IIT get a fair start, and Tina Dabi, the youngest IS topper of 2016. Thanks very much, all of you, for joining me. And of course, a very special audience with NGOs and representatives from different fields. But let me begin, of course, with Priyanka Chopra, who's in India in the middle of a jam-packed schedule. So, Priyanka, going from Quantico, Baywatch to a fair start is an interesting mix.
Well, that's what life is. You've got to mix what matters to you, your profession, your family, all of it together. And now I've almost spent a decade with UNICEF as their Goodwill Ambassador, and we've done some amazing work together. And I don't want to stop at that at all.
Why does this matter to you? Why is the issue of a fair start? I mean, I made that point that it's not really reflected in our mainstream discourse. It's not a hot button issue ever. In fact, India's children often seem to be completely left out of any conversations we have. Why is this an issue important to you?
Because I don't think we realize we are one of the youngest countries in the world. About 25–30% of our population is under the age of 25. The potential of the future leaders of tomorrow that we have in our country, not any other country has. So if we don't hone the skills or the mindset of the future of tomorrow, where the country is going is not going to be in our hands. So if we want to see a change, we've got to fight for it.
What brought you to this issue? In fact, interestingly, someone had mentioned to me that, sometimes you've always seen that at beauty pageants, interestingly enough, which you won, that you'll always hear the contestants or the winners saying that we'll do this, and they'll pay lip service, and that's the last you ever hear of it. But you made that point that you've
clearly
been
have not
to
paid
different
just
issues.
lip service.
Exactly. You've been involved with UNICEF, you've been involved with NDTV and Greenathon. Why is this issue of a fair start? You made the point about young children, but was there any incident which actually made you look at this?
By fair start, I actually mean equality in terms of gender, equality in terms of, even if you come from different economic backgrounds, even if you come from different religions, even if kids come from whatever circumstances in life are, you cannot deny a child a right to education, a right to live, a right to be the best that they can be. But because India is such a difficult country, it's a different nation. No other country in the world has the prototype that India has. Every state that we go to, we have a different written and spoken language, different festivals, we could all be separate countries altogether. Yet we come together as a secular India. Now within that India, which has so many disparities, gender mostly, economic backgrounds in a big way, where kids in the same school or in the same class come from extreme affluence and at the same time poverty and not as many opportunities. How does India make sure that their future and their children are getting the best potential? The least we can do is give them a fair chance and a fair start. Hence, this matters a lot to me.
I'd like to actually just play some excerpts from that video, and then we can get the other panel members in. So we just actually see exactly what Priyanka is talking about. Let's just look at that video.
You may skip to start, but millions like us can neither skip inequality nor get a fair start.
Johnny, Johnny, eating sugar. Hey, Johnny, Johnny, eating sugar, eating sugar. Hey, Johnny, Johnny, eating sugar. What twinkle, twinkle, what twinkle, twinkle, what twinkle, twinkle, little star, twinkle, twinkle, little star, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Millions of children in India face an uncertain future.
Due to lack of opportunities.
Who else would know it better than us? Help us get a fair start in life. We deserve a fair start!
A film actually made and shot by young children as well. It's such a simple film actually. I mean, it really is what we see every day around us. And Priyanka, one point you had made is about that it's not just about what governments can do, it's not just about what someone else can do, it's about changing mindsets.
It's basically, look, it is the government's responsibility to take care of its citizens. We all know that. A lot has been spoken about it. There's been some changes that have happened. There have been some changes that will not happen or have not happened. But we have to take some things into our own hands. And it is not about emptying your wallets and, you know, changing the world or eradicating poverty. That's not going to happen, no matter how much beauty pageants say, winners say it on stages. I think what has to be different is a mindset. We've got so desensitized to seeing this. Like you saw in the, which does not mean children who come from families of affluence need to feel guilty about the fact that they have it at all. I'm not saying that. But we've become desensitized to our environments. It is changing mindsets where, you know, you talk to people around you and tell them that, why is your daughter not going to school and your son? Because I can only afford to send one kid to school. How do you help? Maybe, you know, old books from my last year's school, or teaching another child a skill set which will make them financially independent. Talking about the fact that equality comes in so many different ways. With conversations like this between you all, when we go from school to home, or if you see in your classes, like I've seen that with so many kids, they're so sensitive to this. Where you see kids in your class which might not have the new iPhone or might not have a new pair of shoes every day to wear. You know, to be aware that we live in a country which has that kind of distinction. As soon as you have awareness like that, India is a very sensitive nation.
And I'm going to bring Harsh Mantar in because he's been speaking about this for so many years really. And perhaps when Priyanka Chopra says it, everybody would sit up and listen as well. But Harsh, exactly this point is what you had said in your latest book, that why is it that we are becoming desensitized? Why is it that we do look away, that it now seems to be almost
normal?
It almost seems to be the new normal.
Yeah, it worries me deeply. You know, it's not just the fact that inequality and prejudice is growing in our society. It is growing. But I think what worries me is our indifference and the normalization of this inequality and prejudice. And I think it is about many things. It's about how we raise our children. I mean, I really wonder, a child of 4 said, "Bete sab badon ka paunch ho." How does he know at that age कि सब बड़ों में the domestic help is not included, that you can treat this adult differently, that when a child goes out on the streets and sees another child begging on the streets or knocking on the window, how quickly do we teach our child not to feel distressed? We normalize this, and I think that, so, you know, and homeless children, I think, represent this most of all, because each of us every single day who live in cities, you're coming back from a movie, you're coming back from a party, you see these children, you go home, it's cold winter night in Delhi, you put your daughter to sleep, you give her everything that life, given her the best education, food, protection. That 1 kilometer away is another little girl just her age who's sleeping under the open sky, who will found her food in a rubbish heap, who will probably be raped through the night. That's just 1 kilometer away, and nothing is different except her birth. Rohit Vemula, when he hung himself, he left this note saying, I could not escape the fatal accident of my birth. To my mind, that is the indictment of India. That for millions of children, they cannot escape the fatal accident of their birth. And so it is not the qualities of your character, it's not the hard work you do, it's not your mind, your heart, the soaring of your dreams. Nothing determines your future except the accident of your birth. That decides whether you'll have an education, what kind of education, how far you can go, whether you'll have a proper home, whether all of this. And I think that we must fight for a country where other things can wait, but children must have equal chances. I think that's absolutely.
In fact, Stuti ji, that's an interesting point of actually looking at children as the focus, because you of course head the National Commission, but we know that often commissions aren't always taken seriously. The post was vacant for about a year, then you were appointed. What do you see as your main mission or your main priority really at the moment, at a time when there's so many areas really of child rights that you can look at? What's your main focus?
Actually, as you said, this commission had not had a head in place for quite some time, a chairperson in place. So my first priority is to set it up on its feet.
That's really tragic actually. For India's children, a commission just lies headless for a year and it's okay. It's not your fault, I know, but it's
first priority, and grievance redressal is our main priority, because this commission was set up for protection of child rights. So when a person has nowhere else to go or nobody is listening to that, to a person with a grievance, we are the sort of mother commission that they come to. So we have strengthened this mechanism of grievance redressal. And we are taking grievances from all sources, whether it is just a phone call, whether it is a letter, whether it is through email, or whether it is through our e-Bal Nidan. And everybody is welcome. In fact, as I was mentioning, this child sexual abuse problem is creating, seems to be rampant. I don't know what is the reason. Probably families are becoming very dysfunctional, because a lot of it is happening within families. Communities also, that inclusiveness of communities which Harsh mentioned, it's not there, Apna bacha, unka bacha is too much of a kind of a thing. I keep telling people, treat every child as your own. For that, we've dedicated one member to go as and when they hear of a complaint.
No, so and maybe one new way to look at the perspective is perhaps rather than waiting for the children to come to you, is maybe the commission could go to the children, as Harsh just made the point. We see them all around us, so it's not hard to find them. But I just want to bring in one other perspective. I want to bring in Anand Kumar ji, of course, of Super 30. Anand Kumar ji, आपका perspective एक different perspective है, optimistic perspective है, because आपने कहा that here are these children who have been left out, who are from the poorest backgrounds, but I will do something with them. जब आप सोचते हो fair start, आप क्या कहते हैं कि आप ये principle कैसे apply करते हैं अपने Super 30 में?
हम लोग को अक्सर लोग पूछते हैं कि अच्छा आनंद कुमार जी आप क्या करते हैं कि इतने बच्चे अच्छे सक्सेस मिलते हैं? कुछ नहीं, उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी देते हैं और उनमें एक विश्वास जगाते हैं कि तुम पिछड़े इसीलिए हो, तुम आगे नहीं बढ़ पा रहे हो क्योंकि तुम्हें अवसर नहीं मिले। अवसर मिले तो तुम ही इतिहास लिख सकते हो। देखो जितना इतिहास लिखने वाले लोग हैं, हिस्ट्री बनाने वाले लोग हैं, वो गरीब घर से ही आए, तो उनको कई तरह के बातों को मोटिवेट करके उनको ऐसा करते कि वो एक फ्रेश स्टार्ट लेते हैं और पूरे जोशो खरोश के साथ लेते हैं। आज ज़रूरत हमारे देश में चाहे सरकार के तरफ से हो, चाहे प्रियंका जी इतना अच्छा काम करी इनके तरफ से हो, लोगों में भावना जागृत करना सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, ताकि वो अपने बच्चों को मोटिवेट कर सके, आधे पेट रह के पढ़ा सके और ये भाव बच्चों में ला सके कि तुम कर सकते हो।
Tina, you're the young, optimistic, I hope, looking at a future. You want to change India.
Right.
When you look, and I know that you in fact said that you want to take the Haryana cadre because you felt that here girls had been discriminated against, and this is something we really wanted to change. When you see what Priyanka is talking about today, when you see the current situation, what's the one thing which inspires you to go out there and do it? Why did you join the IIS, for instance?
Ma'am, when we talk about this, and Priyanka ma'am is very right, that we are a very young nation, and it's fortunate in a way that we are facing the demographic dividend. All the other nations of the world are getting older while we are younger, and that will boost our GDP. We have more people joining the working age group. But at the same time, if we really do not pay attention to this, which we aren't as much as we desire it to be, then of course this demographic dividends will soon turn into a ticking demographic bomb. And that's going to create absolute chaos.
When you see inequality, because of course this is, as a young student in Delhi, you must have seen this all around you. How do you look at this as something that you can tackle when you become an IAS officer? What do you think you can actually change?
Ma'am, I think we really need to have a targeted approach towards it. We are not talking about it enough. Even coming from Delhi, like I come from Delhi University, and in my own college, I come from Lady Shri Ram College, and we admit both students coming from the Hindi medium as well as the English medium, but we do not have faculty to teach the Hindi medium students, and they are forced to study in English, which is very difficult if you come from a different medium. So of course, we need a quite targeted approach, and as civil servants, we need to make policies which exclusively focus on all of this.
In fact, that's an interesting point. Our language we teach in is often one of the biggest tools of discrimination. But Niloufar, come in here, because you've been working again in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, two of the big areas where this inequality is a huge issue. What do you see as some of the underlying factors which can be addressed perhaps not through just government programs or through sharing books, etc.? What do you need as a perhaps more holistic approach? Just the acceptance or the recognition of the fact that inequality is unacceptable in a sense?
Well, I would say that, as you mentioned, government policies and political will for sure plays a critical role, as does the legal framework, as does adequate budgetary allocations. That all is important and imperative. But very, very critical is also mindsets, social norms, opinions, cultural practices. And that often then leads to discrimination, especially about gender, about Dalits, about religious minority, etc. So I think one important area to focus is on changing the mindset. And that can really happen if we all collectively come together and trigger debate in society. And I think an important element that we have tried to incorporate into our work in UP is expanding our partnerships, engaging with government, engaging with civil society, media, academia, religious leaders, communities, and young girls in particular themselves. We have a program called Garima, by which we reach 200,000 girls in 3 districts of UP on menstrual hygiene management. But that's an entry point on girls' empowerment. And we have really evidence that shows by working together with the girls themselves, and then they work with their fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, and with their local leaders, what kind of transformation can happen. So I think it's really bringing the collective together, but putting girls at the center of it and their voices. And this way we can really, step by step, bring changes in the mindset. And once you change the mindset, there's also demand. And once there's demand, also you will see that services are provided more readily and also with the quality, because then individuals, girls or their families know what to expect, what is their right.
No, and how to take those rights off paper, because you know there's a Right to Education Act, but as we see every day the children who are not actually by law, they should be in school. So it's the responsibility of a government to make sure they're off the street. But I just wanted to bring in one aspect. Priyanka, Harsh had also made the point that when we talk about this disappearing of these children who are left behind, we don't see them in Bollywood anymore. We don't see them in the media anymore. We don't see them in political conversations anymore. Is that something we need to also make a conscious effort to do more? Also, what Stuti ji mentioned of child sexual abuse, this epidemic that seems to have arisen. People have talked of, there's been brutal crimes of stalking recently. People have talked also of Bollywood movies and the kind of influence of some of the violence which is shown on screen, and how this plays out in mindsets in India. What do you feel about that?
Well, 2 things. First of all, entertainment around the world does not have the responsibility of the morality of a nation. And I'm going to make a controversial comment, but I think filmmakers or storytellers, or artists, have the right to be able to tell whatever stories they want. We have a certification board that needs to tell people that this is the kind of people that need to watch it. This is adults. This is not for children. But you cannot, in a democracy, tell filmmakers or authors or painters, or that you can or cannot do something. Second of all, upbringing is important. When your own family or your own, we live in a civilization, in a country which is one of the oldest civilizations in the world, where we've been told कि लड़की तो पराया धन है, वो तो कल शादी करके जाएगी, उसका मतलब उस पे invest करने की क्या जरूरत है? Something as small as that. We've heard it so many times. अरे अगर बेटा नहीं पैदा हुआ तो वंश आगे कैसे बढ़ेगा? Big problem. आगे नाम कौन लेकर जाएगा? अरे सोसाइटी क्या कहेगी? दुनिया क्या कहेगी? कौन है दुनिया जी? आपकी कॉलोनी. जब आपके when bad happens to you, are they going to come and stand by you? So it is the mindset that Nilofer ma'am was talking about of people that has been put in our heads for eons. We can have many debates, we can have panel discussions, we can talk about it, we can write about it. But when we go back home and we shut our doors, do our parents treat us the same way? Do we treat the girls and boys around us the same way? It is an individual question and a awareness that needs to come in ourselves. Realizing, like she said, we are one of the youngest nations in the world. If we don't take charge of it right now, it's going to be an epidemic, and we definitely need a revolution.
I totally agree with you that you say you can't tell authors or filmmakers what to do, but as a young woman actress, when you see this instance of sexual violence reported, etc., but first your initial responses, your reactions, and do you feel a certain responsibility on, say, perhaps the kind of roles you'd take or the kind of scripts you'd like to see?
I always try and play strong female characters, but there are many different kinds of women that exist in the world, and I would like to have the ability to play all kinds. But as a person, yes, I do feel a major social responsibility, hence me sitting here, hence me working with UNICEF for a very long time. Me as an actor, which is my profession, is very, very different than what I do as a person. If everybody had to play characters which were morally bound, we wouldn't have villains in the world. We wouldn't have conflict in entertainment. So that's unfair to do. But I definitely think that not just the film industry, but people, public people who have voices, you, all of us over here who are influencers in our own way, the fact that we have the ability to come together and talk to people and say this is important. Why is it important? Because I'm not saying that we're going to reach equality in even 10 years. We are not. But I would like to hope that our generation today, which is feisty and demanding and hungry and says we want more, will have the ability to stand up and stand for themselves. Like Nilofer ma'am said, working with UNICEF is so amazing because they put girls at the center of everything. So these are girls that get inspired and empowered by working with NGOs like UNICEF and go out there and teach their own communities and teach their friends and teach their neighbors and their parents. It's a very prevalent, grassroots thing that needs to happen. It is, if your mind doesn't change, there's nothing anyone else can do.
It's interesting method in working with UNICEF, but what is it like then working with Bollywood? You said you always take strong female roles, but do you feel sometimes, and this again, maybe not just Bollywood, but in Hollywood as well, that is there an inherent misogyny? You heard the comments Salman Khan made, and there was a huge controversy about it. Maybe he made it unthinkingly. But is there an underlying misogyny where perhaps people don't even think about this as equality as an issue, etc.? What you said about in a home, is the same principle prevail in Bollywood as well?
Not just Bollywood, I'm really sorry. It always gets...
no, I'm asking you because you're from Bollywood.
I know, but the film industry always gets somehow, because it's written about so much. I think misogyny is a global problem. It doesn't just belong to a film industry. It probably belongs to every profession that you can go into today, whether it is doctors in a hospital, whether it is a business, whether it is colleges, anywhere. We live in a misogynistic society. For eons, women have been told that we are second-class citizens, we should dress a certain way, we should talk a certain way, we should think a certain way. What does feminism stand for? It's got such a bad name because people think feminism means hating men. Feminism means berating men or making men look bad. Not at all. Feminism is saying that please give women the opportunity to enjoy being able to take our own decisions without being judged, just the way men have enjoyed for centuries. That's all feminism is saying. And it needs two things. One, it needs women to pull each other up. It needs women to say, hum log ki aadat hai. It's a really bad joke and I just cited it as an example. They say if the world was run by women, there wouldn't be any more wars. We'd just be two countries not talking to each other. Mujhe Germany se nahi baat karni aaj. I don't like France. I mean, it makes us look bad. But it does. But in the same way, women need to be able to look at each other and say, oh my God, I'm so proud and inspired by this girl.
No, and of course.
And, sorry, but
yes,
it needs men. Feminism needs men to turn around and say, this is the right course of action. It needs men to turn around and say, I want my sister, my wife, my girlfriend, my mother to be able to reach her best potential.
Of course, I mean, feminism shouldn't be limited to women. So nothing to say on Salman's rape comment.
I've already made a lot of comments about it. I think that, you know, there's been so much that has been said and spoken about it. Instead of coming to the real point, which is actually what is going on,
exactly,
just because a public person makes a public comment, we spend so many headlines talking about it, but nobody's talking about the gang rape that happened in Bihar 3 days ago. So I think the mudda needs to shift. We've all spoken about it. We all know what is right, what is wrong, and then that's
it. No, do you find that, and I'm going to get the rest of it, do you find this in a strange time when women, in India at least, we could say have many more opportunities than ever before, yet the rise in violence against women and young children also seems at a record high. Do you find that as a paradox? Why do you think that's happening?
It's a complete dichotomy. I mean, here it is the best time to be an Indian girl in India. But at the same time, it's probably the most unsafe time to be a girl in India, even with children. I mean, was it that we didn't hear about it before as much? Now with, you know, the social media and with the internet and with us being able to have access, we are hearing about it a lot more. Did it always exist? Because this is such a hugely prevalent problem, and it's again a mindset thing. How is it all right? It's not all right from any level.
No, in fact, I think it's one of the most serious problems facing society today. But I just want to open this up to the audience. And we have a young woman, Vasundhara, 22-year-old Sarpanch. And Vasundhara, even on that point, that it's the best time in a way to be a woman in India, but it's also a very difficult time to be a woman in India. What would you like to say, or what would you like to ask Priyanka or any of our panelists today?
So it is a very nice time, but the thing is, like, we are still living with the stereotypes that were still prevalent like 100 years back. So what happens, like, when children are growing up, women, parents imbibe such stereotypes in their own head. So at the age of 3 or 4, children already know, oh, this is the girls thing, these are things that girls do, and these are things that boys do. So what we are aiming at is that you shift the thought flow in a bit other direction.
Well, you're living that, because clearly being a Sarpanch was not something a girl did perhaps when you were 3 or 4.
Yeah.
How did you convince your family, or did they want you to be a Sarpanch?
No, they didn't want me to be a Sarpanch, but then they had a difficult time adjusting to it. I can give you an example. So my great-grandmother, she always says, oh, my great-granddaughter would be a doctor, or she would be a teacher. She still does not want to admit the fact that I am in a position where I can make decisions. So we are still living with those stereotypes, and we need to change a lot of things, and things are changing, but it'll take time for the world to change.
For sure. It's not something that can happen instantly at all, because for so many centuries we've been told this. Oh my God, he's kicking like a girl, or jumping like a girl, or why is doing anything like a girl bad thing? Crying like a girl.
Only girls cry.
So many stereotypes which have become a part of our normal, which we don't even think there's anything wrong with anymore.
Stuti, I just want to bring that question really in a sense of accountability, or where a child should go. When we're talking also about this rise of violence against children, how do we look at a government body like yours actually providing, you talked about redressing grievances, but so often this remains on paper. We see, I made that point about seeing it every day around us. How do we actually reach out rather than waiting for the child to come to you?
Actually, the Government of India has enacted a very strong act which is called the POCSO Act, which takes care, it has very stringent provisions of taking action against people who
But why has that not been a deterrent? Why do we see more and more incidents like this being reported?
Because I feel the reporting has become much better, and media attention is also there on such crimes, and people are coming out.
So I have to say, I've been in the media over 20 years, and I've never actually seen incidents like this, even as a journalist, before. The gruesomeness and the violence that we're seeing now is new.
Yes.
And scary.
That is also very worrying for me also. But I feel now people are reporting these cases much more, and so that stigma of that conspiracy of silence, as it was called, is no longer there. Now people are coming out saying that, yes, my child has been raped, my child has been sexually abused, and they are coming to us, they are going to police stations, they are reporting to all these, reporting of these crimes has become very, very sort of more cases are coming to us. But what is frightening is, and it's a little unsettling, is that they're coming only in the case of the girl child. What about the boy child? It's happening also with boys. And to my mind, it is this child sexual abuse against boys that is leading to this rise in juvenile crime by boys. 99% of juveniles, children in conflict with law as it is called, are boys.
No, and in fact, that really is the vicious cycle, that if you ignore the child and how he or she is being brought up on the streets, you are raising then people who think it's all right to perpetrate that violence once again.
Because it's happened to them.
Because it's happened to
Yeah.
them.
Add on that, if you finish. I wanted to say, to bring it back to the issue of fair start.
Yes.
I think that's why fair start is so important, because if at the beginning, from the beginning, children are given the chance to have good education, good quality health care, exposure to information, a sense of empowerment, long term, many of these issues will be addressed. So I think that is why UNICEF, Priyanka Chopra, many of our partners are talking about a first start. Let's begin from the beginning, because children, as it stands now, even before they're born, they are discriminated against with the sex ratio as it is. So it even begins before birth. And then once you are born, whether you survive the first day of life, which is the most dangerous day of life, most neonatal death and maternal death happens on the first day. So that is your first fair start. And then it continues. So if we go back to that fair start, I think many of the other very dangerous or very disturbing phenomena that we see can also be addressed step by step.
I want to ask a question, if I may,
Sure.
because it's been something that I have not been able to wrap my head around or find an answer to. Why is there such a fearlessness of the law? Why is it that people can do such gruesome acts and be all right with it, and maybe not be afraid of the laws that are in place being implemented? Why?
I feel that one thing that we need to recognize is our culpability in the violence that we see around. I think that we are fostering this the violence with our lack of caring. And
yes.
I'll just give you one very brief story to illustrate this. You know, the juvenile boy in the 16 December case who became India's most hated.
Yeah.
Now, who is this boy and what was his story? His mother was 13 years old, from a very poor family in a village in UP. She was married to a man much older to her, who was a schizophrenic. She was 14 when this boy was born. The father was violent. He used to beat, and the boy only saw this. By the time when he was 11, the mother said, "I just can't handle this anymore. You have to become the principal breadwinner of the family." She sends him at the age of 11 to Delhi to start working in a dhaba. He starts sending money home for 500 rupees. Everybody said till then he was very well behaved. He was a very good boy. And then as the years passed, living in this uncaring environment, he got into the company that he did, and he became what he became. And his mother, didn't even know whether he stopped sending money home. His mother didn't know if he was alive or dead, and then he did what he did. But and none of that justifies what he became. But I think that we need to recognize that what happened in that bus, those men were responsible, but you and I are also responsible for, because my colleagues and I work with homeless children. I've seen, even at the age of 13, 14, you get a boy who's into serious crime. With love, with support, the boy can be reclaimed.
Compassion.
With compassion. So if he doesn't, if none of us have reached out to that boy, so he became what he became. So I think what you're talking about, this sense of impunity.
But Harsh, I think in some points, though I agree with a large part of what you're saying, I do think in India we've seen the fact that so many people in the same circumstances perform so brilliantly. Super 30 is one example. There are many from your own home where we've seen there are homes you run. In fact, there's some in the audience as well who we're going to come to, who have actually in exactly the same circumstances come out so differently. But
love. I do think that love, in the end, somebody who believes you, somebody who can hold on, who can steady, who can steady you in times when you're losing your
just
way.
a shoulder, the feeling that someone cares. We're just going to take a quick break now, but I want to come back to those amazing stories of children who had a completely unfair start but have succeeded. That's after we take this quick break. Welcome Welcome back. You're watching our special dialogue on a fair start for every child. We've of course got our special panel including Priyanka Chopra, but we've also got a special audience with lots of young children who haven't had a fair start but have done brilliantly. Harsh, you've got some children here as well. Pooja's, tell us about her.
See, Pooja is an extraordinary story. You know, all she remembers of her parents from, again, a village in UP, that they were very cruel to her. She just doesn't want to go back. And one day she walked out as a young girl and said she'll make her own life. She found her way to the city. Some kind policeman finally brought her to home. And, you know, she wasn't very good at studies. We found a little later that she was mentally a little slow. Put her into a special school. They discovered that she could run. And she started running, and she got into the state team, then the national team. Then
Wow.
she represented India in Los Angeles. And she's come back.
Very well done, Pooja.
She's come back with a gold medal and 2 silver medals. And she's so
Pooja,
full of positive.
पूजा आप क्या कहेंगे आज प्रियंका चोपड़ा से? वो आपकी फेवरेट एक्ट्रेस है?
तुम्हें कब पता चला कि तुम्हें भागना अच्छा लगता है?
मैं स्कूल जाती थी ना, तो वहाँ पर मैं सर लोग गेम्स में लेके जाते थे मेरे को, तो ना छोटे छोटे स्टेडियम लेके जाते थे सर, तो वहाँ पर मैं खेलते खेलते मेरे को भी अच्छा लगने लगा, मैं खेल ली।
और फिर तुम भागती रही बस, लॉस एंजलिस तक भागती रही।
She's something like you, Priyanka. She's made the same journey. Also, a young girl there, you, Priyanka, who had said, "I want to run," and you made it.
Just run, keep
Just
running.
So
that's what I
really-
believe. Blinders laga ke keep running.
And of course, Anand Kumar ji also. Anirudh is here as well. Anirudh, when we talk about Fair Start, or when we talk about this, from your personal experience, what would you say? What do you think the contribution of something like Super 30 is?
I can say it is almost about the upbringing of the students there.
Did you ever feel at that time that, you know, shayad Super 30 may doesn't have all the fancy equipment, it doesn't have maybe the best computers, etc., where maybe other institutes may have, but yet the result is super?
No, that is not required for computer and anything else. You know, like teaching is a art, and sir knows how to impart into the students. That is the only requirement for IIT JEE or any other competitive exams. That doesn't require technology. It was my time.
Anand Kumar ji, when we say equal opportunity, what does it mean for you, equal opportunity?
अभी हम ये जवाब देना ही चाह रहे थे, क्राइम क्यों है?
जी.
क्योंकि अभी जो आपने एक फिल्म दिखाई, उसमें दिखाया गया कि एक बच्चा तारे देख रहा है और एक बच्चा झोपड़ी में पड़ा हुआ है. यही मेन क्राइम का कारण होता है. क्योंकि मैं स्लम एरिया में ही पढ़ा देखा कि बहुत सारे बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं जिनमें टैलेंट होता है, उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती है, और उनसे कम टैलेंट वाले बच्चे अच्छे बाइक से जाते हैं, और वो भी जानते हैं कि ये भ्रष्टाचारी का बाल बच्चा है और वहाँ से पैसे लाया है. वहीं से उनमें ये भावना आती है कि हम भी क्राइम करके, अगर हमसे नहीं हो पा रहा है तो हम उसको छीन कर लेंगे. तो वो भी एक तरह से ताकत है बच्चों में कि कुछ करना चाहते हैं. तो उसी ताकत को, उसी ऊर्जा को हम लोग कैसे बदले पॉजिटिव सेंस में, और यही इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि जिन बच्चों में ऊर्जा है उसको किस तरह से हम लोग उसको सार्थक दिशा में ले जाएं, इसका हम लोग प्रयास करें, और ये प्रयास सब मिलजुल कर करें.
It is being able to channel the energies and the frustration that young India has today, because potential is tremendous, numbers are tremendous, but opportunities are so less. Why do we have such few opportunities? Why do such brilliant Indian minds have to go outside of their country to make their careers and their lives? Why not be able to do it within our own? Why are job opportunities less? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves and our government.
I'd like to bring in from Uday Foundation Rahul as well, because Rahul deals specifically with children whose cancer patients. I mean, we've covered it so extensively. Cancer patients, children with cancer who sleep outside on the footpaths outside the All India Institute of Medical Science. So Rahul, when we talk about Fair Start, what about even equal opportunity in medical care? India has best medical tourism, and we don't have medical facilities for our children.
These children remain invisible. You know, they are invisible to all of us. Trust me. You know, you cross that AIM signal every day, every night you cross that signal. Even if you go right now, you will find at least 20 children, you know, sleeping outside. They're with the medical issues and all, but they remain invisible to us. Number two, when we go to the signal, as Priyanka said, you know, they will knock, you know, you have children, they're knocking at your door, but your parents say, okay, उधर मत देखो. आपने नहीं देखा, आपका काम खत्म हो गया. आपने उधर से ही चालू कर दिया उनको सिखाना कि अभी तो देखना ही नहीं है हमको. Number 2. Number 3, when we talk about, you know, the panelists, okay, she's doing such a wonderful thing. Again, she's sitting here with us in Delhi and doing the same thing. हर सर कर रहे हैं, सब चीज़ है. The main thing is, what about me as an individual? What I'm doing? You know, we always talk about CSR, we always talk about government, what NCPCR is doing or something like that. What I am doing for my country, for my child. You know, whenever you see, you go to a restaurant, you know, you see a lady is holding, she's having some maid, a small girl maid, and holding her child. Do you ever stop her? Do you take a picture? No, you just ignore that thing. You know, you have your own maid. If she take a 1 day leave, you know, you are upset. Why she was not there yesterday? So everything starts with us, with me. Even all of us sitting right now over here in this room take a responsibility of one child. Sonia, things can change.
Of course.
That is a very important thing. Again, from the government side, you know, they have to be very sensitive about certain things. NCPCR, I know from last 10 years. Believe me, I really am get scared to write to them. Because, you know, I'll send a letter, you know, when it will reach to them. Man, you should come on Twitter. Our Prime Minister is on Twitter. Priyanka is on Twitter. Sonia is there. I'm also there.
All these
you should be on Twitter.
We are
there.
there.
And you should send some appeal.
Tina,
so
that's something you have to learn now. You have to mainstream how the IS also communicate with the world.
This is my personal request to you. You should be there. You know, I'll be sending at least 10 cases to you every day.
No, please
because
do.
we all get frustrated with us.
No, I totally agree.
And Priyanka will all do all retweets of yours. I'm making promise on Priyanka's side.
I think the main point that an individual, each one of us is the ones who can be the change you want to be. We're completely out of time in this show, but this is not an issue that goes away in a 1-hour debate program, but just final thoughts. Priyanka, final thoughts tonight, really.
I mean, he's so right. Eventually, even if each one of us, because it's such a tricky situation,
and Indians are great at saying it. Why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they doing it? We're great at saying
it. देश ने क्या किया है, तुमने क्या किया है, तुम celebrity हो, तुम्हारी फिल्मों ने क्या किया, तुम public person हो, लेकिन तुमने क्या किया भाई? तुमने तो कुछ नहीं किया. So I think that is the biggest crux of it. Yeah, we can ignore it because you cannot pick up every child from the road and take them home. So there's no point of feeling guilty about it.
So the scale of the problem scares people sometimes.
Yes, it does. But the people around you, within your own home, education of your staff's children, of people around you, awareness, those are things we can take on to ourselves. I think that's the most important shastra we'll have.
And as I said, it's important to different voices, but thanks once again for lending star power to a cause like this. It's been great to have you on the show. And what's next, Priyanka? Let me take you away from social causes for a moment, but what's coming up next? You're flying back. I mean, jet lag isn't something in your vocabulary.
No, I've told my body has to listen to me. I don't listen to my body. So I don't have time for that.
When do we see you back in Hindi movies?
I'm going to start a Hindi film next year because I'm going to New York for season 2 of Quantico right now. So we're going to start shooting that, and I'm at this point debating which Hindi film to do. I'm so used to doing 4 films a year, and now because of Quantico I can only do 2.
Do you have to do different accents?
You're
producing a Bhojpuri film. Are you doing different accents
I'm
depending on where you are?
I'm producing a Punjabi film, a Maharashtrian film, and now I'm putting a Rajasthani film on floor and a Hindi film soon. I want to be able to give voice to storytellers from around the world. And that's what I'm doing as a producer, as an actor. My film Baywatch will release next year, which will be a big global release, which will happen in May. Quantico will start September. And my Hindi film should go on floor next year. So I'm doing multiple things.
And of course, you're in America at an exciting time because you've got the Trump-Hillary campaign, which is making Indian politics look boring.
It's making me nervous. Because I'm such an opinionated girl, I need to keep quiet.
So what would you say to Donald Trump? I won't ask you what you'd say to Indian politicians, but what would you say to Donald Trump?
I already said it at the Time 100, you know, when I was part of the 100 most influential. I already said that, you know, we live in a world that is made of so many different kinds of people. Generalizations are not the answers. We need to be able to find the root cause of issues, which is why are people behaving the way they are and how to solve that. So I already said that and got into trouble.
So you're backing a woman president in America? They need to catch up with us.
I mean, we've already done it many years ago, but I'm backing the best person for the job. I think that's what's most important. And I mean, we're not American. I have no right to turn around and say who they should vote for. But they really need to, just as we do, take our voting seriously. We have the power in our hands.
Priyanka Chopra and all my panelists, it's been great to have you here, and of course a great audience. Thank you all very much for being part of the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.